A few weeks ago I told you I loved IOTA. Well, guess what? Changed my mind. I had to get out. I think we got problems here. I think at 2 billion it's a little cray-cray. So here's the thing. I'm going to go through. There's some positives. You know, they may survive. As you always, want to keep my eyes on it. We want to keep our eyes open. And you know, we live with uncertainty and doubt when we buy. And we also live with uncertainty and doubt when we sell. So, you know, there's always two sides to the story, but I'm going to start with the negatives because, you know, it's more fun and it gets everybody mad at me, and I love that. So, the first negative story, you probably heard in the news if you're following IOTA, the director of digital currency initiatives at MIT Media Labs, you know, issues a report, and, you know, so MIT Media Labs, that's sort of, that's up here when it comes to respected, you know, intelligence on this topic. The director writes this paper, and there was a lot there, you know. Now, the first point, which is sort of all the news is talking about, I'm going to talk about what it talks about at the end that I think is important and gives us some key insights and what drove me to really sell. The first point that is in the news was simply that they tried to create their own hash function. What usually most people use, I think, oh boy, the hash function that Bitcoin uses, I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of these things that was developed years ago and tested for like 7 years. You know, it's like, and when I say tested by like the world, the community. So it's well established as being safe. And as this person, Bruce Schneier, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he says, you know, trying to create your own hash function is a rookie mistake. And, you know, I'm going to talk about in a second about why I think, you know, why they did that. And it ties into this Ivancheglo, the self-declared narcissist. I'm going to get to that in a second. But first, let me get to what I think. So to me, there was a rookie mistake. They found it. They kind of fixed it. And that's what you see in the news. And that's okay, right? I mean, shit happens. Although that's it's a bit more than shit, but okay. But let me get to the end here, the conclusion. There were several more things that tie into this sort of narcissistic arrogance that may be going on here. So first of all, the program is built in, they say it's built in, uses ternary instead of binary programming. I don't know exactly what that means, but what this says is the problem with the ternary is you can't use, and I'm sure I pronounced it wrong, okay? You don't have to send me 100 comments of how stupid I am, okay? But anyways, by using this new way of programming, a lot of the existing security analysis tools don't work. This makes it almost untestable. So we have another issue with their system, is that not only is it not that well tested, and they've already been caught with a rookie mistake, but it's not easy to test. And it goes even further. That the current IOTA tangle requires a trusted party, the coordinator, for security. In other words, this is not a trustless system. They have code in there. It is not a trustless system. But for those, hopefully, if you're watching this video, you understand what that means. So now IOTA says someday they're going to get rid of that and it will become trustless. But it's not. I didn't know that. Isn't that what this whole revolution is about, trustless systems? It's not a trustless system. And I'm going to get to where when I decided, you know what, I've seen enough here. I want to sell some of my IOTA. I get in this wallet, and the thing's slow as molasses. It's not an open. I'll get to that in a second. But let me get to the red flag and why I think some of this might be going on. And I mentioned this in my original video when I liked IOTA. I said one of the red flags is this Sergey Ivancheglo, the original the head developer. I think he created a lot of this. Super smart guy, but his own page, he writes, some people are claiming I am arrogant, but actually my doctor attested to me having narcissistic personality disorder. It's not a positive diagnosis at all, but it may help others to understand my behavior and my genius. And I think I do understand. You know, only somebody who is that arrogant and narcissistic thinks they can create a new hash function that is perfect without peer review. He put it into production without peer review. And some of these other problems too comes from arrogance, and arrogance leads to the idea that you don't need to crowdsource your wisdom. And by that, one thing I've also learned, because I've seen this myself in business, no genius, no individual is more powerful or smarter than a team or, you know, crowdsourcing information. If you have, you know, like this, you have code, and for years it's open source for all kinds of scientists and programmers to test and comment and edit. That's why open source is often superior, because you have more people. The crowd is smarter than the individual, and part of that is what this whole revolution is about. So here we have an individual who you have to trust, who thinks he's smarter than the crowd. I mean, this is sort of anti-open source trustless systems. That is what concerned me. So I saw that. All of a sudden now the sun's in my face. I saw that and said, you know what? I gotta sell some. And then things got even a little worse. So I go to my IOTA wallet, which is not, so compared to, you know, my Ether wallet, what a fabulous wallet. It's not owned by anyone. You don't have to trust anyone. It's free. It just allows you, okay, I'm gonna close the shade, if you don't mind, so I can see. Okay. The MyEther wallet just allows you to view your, you know, what you own on the blockchain. It's just like a viewer. Again, it's a trustless, open, free. That's what it's all about, right? This IOTA wallet is not trustless, it's not open, and it's wacky. You can't even see exactly how much you own. It like abbreviates the number to like 1 decimal point. And then you send that amount, and then it shows you the other decimal point, so then you got to send again. And the sending, the first time I go to send this thing, it took 9 hours, and it was not bitfinex's problem. It was IOTA. It was slow. And then I'm looking on the internet because I'm like, what the F? You know, they're like, well, and you reattach to the tangle, and then you rebroadcast, and then I'm connecting to different nodes. Oh, change the node, and then rebroadcast, and reattach, and I got like listings, you know, like 7 listings of sendings. I woke up the next morning, and one of the broadcasts actually sent, and the money went. It took like 9 hours. I'm like, but it's not just that, it's slow. Like when I send Bitcoin, and it's busy, and it's slow, I'm like, I know, that's what I bought. Like, you go into Bitcoin knowing that shit can get slow. The whole IOTA point is it's fast. And it's slow. Sorry about the high voice. I know, people yell at me about that. But anyways, so then I was like, holy shit, this is so slow, you know what? And then I'm just like, I'm out. So, what else is going on here? And then to that point, too, of speed, meanwhile, Ethereum, a day doesn't go by that they don't have another a positive announcement. Now there's 500,000 transactions a day, and the speed is fine. Transaction costs are not going up as the volume grows. They came out with this Plasma, which is a scaling thing. They came out with Raiden, another system for scaling, which I believe, between some of the, I don't want to get too technical because I'm going to say something wrong, but they even have some off-chain, side-chain solutions where they could do Internet of Things and do many, many transactions rapidly. So not only are they growing and are fast, but maybe they can even get into this stuff that supposedly IOTA was the only one who could do Internet of Things. Now it's looking like maybe Ethereum can. So Ethereum is growing and looking faster every day as I'm seeing this negative news pile up on IOTA. So that was my other thought, is not only am I sort of reducing my risk here on IOTA, But I'm putting that right into Ethereum, where I'm getting more confidence in a trustless system, which IOTA is not, right? So, okay. And why is IOTA only on Bitfinex? I mentioned this in my original video. That was a concern. You know, they say they're getting more exchanges, but why don't they have more? And it probably isn't because others don't want to. It's this complexity. The thing is complex and slow. I wonder if that's the reason. And Bitfinex is like the only exchange that, like, the United States sort of says, like, don't go in there, or they don't let someone from the United States. And then I look up the founder of Bitfinex. The guy loves Ponzi schemes. I mean, the whole thing was scaring the hell out of me. And then one last negative. I just want to mention this: that it's quantum proof. Sounds awesome, but let's all keep in mind that quantum computers are someday. We are far from having real quantum computers, you know, that you can use at scale in order to attack a financial network. By the time that's coming, I'm sure that Ethereum will develop its defenses. So I don't think quantum proof matters, okay? Now, again, so for me, you know, there's too much doubt here, and for $2 billion, if it was new, you know, for an example, because price matters. It's not just like, is it good or bad? It's like, well, what is it selling at, right? So Stellar Lumens, which I like in the long run, you know, we'll see what happens. It's worth far less than IOTA right now. But years ago, when it first forked off of Ripple, I think it was running for like 8 months, and they found some major problem in their proof of stake algorithm. So they had to rewrite it from scratch and then refork the network. If you were invested at that time, you'd be like, holy shit, oh my God, the whole proof of stake, they got to relaunch. It's a lot of uncertainty. But the company, I mean, the coin value with market cap at that point was probably in the low millions. So at that point, you're taking, you know, you're getting a low price for your high risk. Here, we're not getting a low price for the high risk. Okay, so now the positives on IOTA. First of all, their partners that they're working with. It's an impressive list. They got, I saw Volkswagen. They've got these big health companies. They've got universities, and there's a pretty long list of people who supposedly they're working with, which means, I mean, it either means they just have an awesome sales staff who maybe if IOTA doesn't work, they'll go elsewhere, or, you know, they've got some things and a way to engage these companies and get them moving. And remember, the best technology doesn't always win. It's the adoption and the size of the network. Now, IOTA's behind, but the fact that they're getting all these partners to start playing with their stuff, they're doing something right, and that can lead to something. The other thing is, you know, we climb a wall of worry. You know, the uncertainty and doubt lives with us, except for the idiots who scream about FUD. But we live with uncertainty and doubt, and so, you know, if they have a lot of people working on it and people find flaws and then you fix them and someone finds another flaw and you fix it and it's always, you know, you're running this thing, I'd rather see companies working on the platform, finding flaws and fixing them, than nobody working on it and it's supposedly perfect. So I like seeing that activity. The other thing I like is IOTA is a unique business model. Now again, it is risky in that they're the only directed acyclic graph, right? Everybody else is blockchain. Now, on one hand, it's risky in that it's, well, maybe the reason they're the only one doing it is because it won't work. But if it does work and they have a unique model, that allows them to find a unique niche, probably. So, for example, my business that I've run for 20 years, e-commerce, selling sex toys on the internet. All of my competitors have big warehouses filled with toys. What we built was no inventory. We take the order, forward it to your distributor who we work with, and they ship and send us back to the tracking number. So we are directly connected to like 30 warehouses, and I don't have to spend any money on inventory. So on one hand, there's a disadvantage in that if we want to do custom packing slips, if we want to do, hey, throw a free gift into the order, you know, we can't do that because I don't know which warehouse it's going to end up shipping from because we have items, the same item at multiple warehouses. So on one hand, there's some disadvantages, but there are advantages in that we can carry everything and don't have inventory costs. And through the course of business, we find places where we are tough to beat due to our unique business model, and the other companies that have this other model all fight among themselves. And so maybe IOTA, because of its unique directed acyclic graph, assuming it works, assuming it becomes trustless, they could find some unique areas because of the unique way that their process works. So I like the fact that it's unique, you know. And yeah, I mean, that's really the only positives. I'm too scared. The problem, like I said, if this was new, no one heard about it, I'm telling everybody, first time you ever heard about it, it's only selling for very low money, then I would buy it. But at $2 billion, this thing, listen, one thing I've learned is it's better to lose 20% than to lose 80%. So, you know, if you're in the black on this thing, I would trim your position. If you're in the red, I mean, personally, I wouldn't bet on it right now. But like I said, I don't think it's going to zero, and not in the long run. And if you want to take a flyer on it, I understand. But I got out. That, you know, and yeah. So sorry, you know, that I recommended this thing 3 weeks ago, but this is the world we live in. Things are changing fast. We're learning every day. I'm trying to share it with you. And also, thank you. Somebody probably who watches this channel sent me a message on Facebook with that article, like right after it came out. I don't know that I would have seen it immediately. You know, I might have seen it the next day, and this thing was falling fast. So the person who sent me that, thank you. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this channel, so that, for one thing, it gets me to clarify my ideas and express them to you. And also, the feedback I get from you, the comments, you know, all of the stupid, insane comments are entertaining and fun. I love that. But I do get some good questions that get me to think and to learn. And in this case, a tip early on what I consider to be a huge problem in IOTA. So thank you for that. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.